Hello and welcome back to Factor Y. It's been a little bit of time since the last time we were here, and I had promised at the end of that episode that we'd be doing something new or something a little different, I guess. Not necessarily new, actually old, really, in the next episode, and then things happened and other games came in, and I got distracted by those things, and now we are, we're back again because today, possibly, as I'm releasing this video, or in the next couple of days, there's another update coming for Factor Y. This one is mostly a visual-based update, as opposed to a functional-based update. But Martin has spent a lot of time working on some updated graphics, especially in the areas of color in those graphics for various entities. So I wanted to come back in and take a look at that, and then maybe start down the road of the change that I wanted to make to this series that I did mention at the beginning of the series, but that's been a dozen or something episodes now, so it's been a bit of time. So the first thing you may already see, but the first thing that there is a radical change, I would say radical change, to the color, and especially the sort of contrast or saturation maybe of the color in all of the in a lot of the objects, especially the ones based around mark levels. So if we kind of zoom in here, you can see that the color and even these operational lights and things are much brighter on the building, so you can easily tell that that's a Mark 1 assembler versus going into a Mark 2. I don't know if I'm making Mark 3s, am I? I am. Versus a Mark 3, you can definitely tell the difference between those now, whereas in the previous versions, they were different. You could tell the difference, but it was a little bit harder to see, especially if you weren't zoomed in well. But here you can actually see them even to some extent better when you're zoomed out further. Not better, but much better than you could before when you're zoomed out further. So you can see the difference there. And the difference also applies to everything else with mark levels. So arms, we can see the difference between those as well here. There, and I don't know if I have any 3s going. No, we don't have any 3s going yet. So yeah, you can definitely tell the difference between those. And there are also these operational lights too that tell you kind of which direction the arm is pointed in to kind of help you see that as well on a lot of the objects as well. And the belts have the same kind of thing. You can kind of see that too. Let me go over here where we can see both kinds of, or the first two mark levels of belts. You can see a little bit more obviously, not only the belt itself and the objects on the belt, but even the drive wheels and things on the sides, and they're even accented with little light effects too. And you can see even the band, the axle, not the axle, what would that be called? I don't know what that's called. That kind of joins these drive wheels together. It even has the color, the mark level color, so you can see that's the orange and this is the green. So the color has been radically changed and a whole lot better. That also extends to furnace burners. Those are all Mark 1s. Down here we have Mark 2s, and I assume it also applies to the smelting furnaces as well. Yeah, those are orange there. You can see up here the stone ones are still green. So that kind of goes across the whole game. In addition, there's some new a new design for the labs. The labs are now square, but they're differently designed square than the assemblers. I'm not sure that I am a fan of that change. Like I think I would rather they be round, so that they're more distinguished, because the squares and the diamond shapes, or in the triangle shapes, it kind of seemed a little too similar to me. But they do have the different color scheme, and the color scheme is different than even what the Mark 3 assembler would be as well. Let's pull that back up again. So it does stand out and does look different, but I liked the round labs. But that's just me. Maybe. It's just me being old and cranky, maybe, who knows. But even the mark colors apply to things like influencers, too. There's ones there, and those are still ones, I think, or no. Maybe they don't. Oh, the color is in the bands, the circles around them, not in the light in the center. The light in the center is the actual influence, like casting, whatever. And even this, the starter here has a little bit different of a design, so I like that. Also, even though it was hard to see it, hard to see the effect of it at least, there was always a day-night cycle as far as the appearance of the game. So as the sun came up and went down again, the screen would get a little bit brighter and a little bit darker relative to that, and that's completely gone now. He did it because he felt that the sun, that effect really didn't help much, and it really just made it look like dingy or gray when it was nighttime. But you really weren't able to even see it much. I just noticed also that I still have the module renderer on from the last time. The brightness, though, that affects solar power is still in the game. So keep that in mind. It's not always day as far as the function of the game is concerned. It's just always day as far as the appearance of the game to the player is concerned. So yeah, keep that in mind. And then there was also an atmosphere effect on certain planets, kind of a cloud, which was more like a dust cloud on dry planets. And that's also gone just for the same reason. It just kind of made the game look dirty or gray or dingy or something, and it didn't really add anything to the game itself. Beyond that, the miner is now the tooltip icon here, or the menu icon here for the materials category, as opposed to it being a piece of ore. I think it was before. I think it was a piece of copper ore. I don't remember. It's amazing how your brain works for that. And so you can kind of see now it's just the miner icon, because for the most part, when you're building, at least, the miner is what you're getting there. You're not getting anything else in that menu, I don't think. And then when you're doing the assembly, it makes a difference slightly, but not really, because the only thing you can assemble is miners as well. So that makes sense, and I like that. I like that change as well. A change to the formatting of the nuclear waste reactor, which we haven't gotten to at all in this game, but we will at some point. And then the orbits of planets, colonized planets, are now highlighted. So you can see here that we have this. Obviously, Hope is our first planet. It's always the first planet, and it's got a red orbit now instead of a white orbit like the rest of them are. And that's just to help you recognize which planets and moons you have colonized. So just some kind of visual changes, but they're all very QOL visual changes. And I know a lot of work went into recoloring all those models and things for all the Mark level buildings and objects and things. So that was really really good to see, and I like the color difference because I can see it better. I mean, I'm getting old, so seeing it better with my eyes makes it's nice. Because I would sometimes struggle over, okay, is that a Mark 1 or a Mark 2? And that's actually where the highlighter came into play. At least one of the reasons it came into play was to find, okay, well, what Mark level is everything? Can I find all the Mark 2s or all the Mark 3s of things and make sure that I have it all set up right? Or I want to see if I have, a Mark 1 belt stuck in the middle of a Mark 2 furnace column, that's why it's not working right, or something like that, or a smelting column for that matter. Maybe I screwed up and I was updating one of these smelting columns and I stamped down the belts, but for some reason I skipped one, and there's a Mark 1, especially maybe even in a belt over here. I need to find it. So that's where this highlighter idea came from, at least in part, was those types of feelings. So I'm, even though I can see the colors better now, that's still a very useful feature to have. So that kind of talks about what this version is. This is version 1.3, and as I said, it will, if it's not on Steam today as you're watching this, or later today as you're watching this, depending on when he releases it, it'll be on in the next couple of days. It's relatively minor in terms of, I think, player impact and player issue causing stuff, so I think he's planning on a short beta period. But if you want to take a look at it now, you can follow the links on his website, which you can find, I think, on the Steam page, and you can definitely find it in the description below, I believe, and take a look at how you unlock the beta version in Steam if you don't know how to do that already. But it's just the beta version in Steam. So what I wanted to do with this game after we got to a certain point, and I feel like I'm at that point now, is I want to open up the save that I was playing way back before the 1.0, because we got pretty far in that save, and I wanted to, do a little bit of a base tour for those of you who may not have seen that save, and then I want to continue with that save. As we kind of left off here, we had unlocked pretty much everything, if not everything, that is, we're finishing up, I think, the last of the RT3 max stuff, with the exception, of course, of the Research 4 here, and Research Token 4, that is. So we kind of are at a point now where we either have to set up a Research Token 4 build and start working on that stuff in order to get any further, like into space, and the generic modules, which I never actually fiddled with in the past, and then also we already have those item stacking, which I didn't really fiddle with either, but I should have, and we probably should. Nuclear power comes in at Research Token 5, and burner power production boost and mining production boost all come in at tier 4. So I guess we could have done smelting 3 and electric smelting 3 is a 4 as well. Solar power boost and battery boost were 4s, and then all the red belts are actually Research Token 5 stuff. So other than the distributor hair is actually also Research Token 5. So I was kind of thinking, I wasn't sure when I wanted to make the switch back to that other save, but I was kind of thinking we would do it somewhere here in the sort of mid game, just because doing that next level, that next scale out to the Research Token 4 is a lot of time, and I didn't know if we wanted to spend that time here. But also it's it kind of just skips a little bit of kind of the same. It kind of sounds bad, but the same type of stuff, and skips to some new stuff that I haven't touched yet. And I don't know if any of the other people who have played this on YouTube or Twitch or anything have touched on some of the late game stuff yet. So let's go ahead and open up that previous save, and it's going to be way down here in this one. We played 30 episodes in that save. This is episode 12 because I played 11. You can see my save numbering system here. Actually, you know what? Let's before we do that, let's save the current game as only 1.2 episode 12 part A, maybe, and then I can open up this one. I can load this one up, and we can take a look at this base. Now there's some hints that come in when you open up an old save as to what changes were made. It went away before I could really cover it there, but there were new planets that were added in, and there's some other stuff that was changed along the way in version 1.0 and 1.2 and now 1.3. Although 1.3 I don't think had any functional changes, but the save games are all compatible from 0.8 onward. So that's really nice too, that you can pull up an old save if you played the game before the release, even on, is there a demo? I think there's a demo. Even if you played an early version somehow and you wanted to, jump in and play the game now that it's 1.0, which it is a fairly inexpensive game too, so it's worth the money, because it's a integrated factory game. Like it's a full factory game that has all the features of a factory game for the most part. There's no like trains or anything, which I know a lot of people want trains, and I think he's thinking about doing trains, but it's solve that that puzzle construction kind of itch that factory games solve, or the factory games serve, I should say. Okay, so kind of a base tour. I've talked a little bit about this base as we've played through the other one, but you can kind of see some very quite a lot of similarities to it. It's obviously was built in a way that I wasn't planning stuff all the time, because, well, I didn't have I wasn't always prepared, and I didn't always know what was coming next. I knew a lot more when I was playing through for version 1.0 and 1.2, of course, this newer save. But when we kind of did the same kind of thing. So I have a module here. You know what? Actually, let's put that back on. Module, show the module's contents. It's the same module here. This, though, actually, we did this differently in the new one. I had 2 arms inputting into 2 boxes to have 2 arms outputting into these, because this will actually slow this process down by half with only having a Mark 1 arm here. Now, we could, of course, once we unlock them, upgrade this to a Mark 2 arm, which would load the iron ore or iron bars twice as fast into that box to serve 2 of the slower Mark 1s. And we could do that for the whole column, of course. And that would improve those things greatly. Other things that I did was I didn't always upgrade everything as we went. Like this I left as a Mark 1 smelting build, and I just merged in another Mark 1 smelting build, as opposed to upgrading all the miners and the belts and things and making this a Mark 2. I should have done that. That would have been, more logical and whatnot, but I didn't at the time. And then I never went back because we didn't end up needing a lot more iron, with the exception, of course, of injecting iron here, and I stole some over here, but injecting iron here into the circuit build, because it turned out that we needed more iron, and so I injected a Mark II belt of iron into the circuit build. Now, I could have, of course, upgraded these two and upgraded that belt to a Mark III, and then had the iron that I needed here, but I didn't think we had Mark III belts at the time that I did that. But otherwise, you can kind of see the same kind of stuff, the same kind of ideas as we had before. There are, paired sets for the different belt components, and then you go up, and then this same kind of tuning fork pattern of running low on power on Wally. That's one of the moons. It's named after me. Kind of the same kind of tuning fork pattern for the belts too, and their belt components, except that the motors over here are made kind of special for the Mark II belts and pipes. I don't have a motor build that we were feeding directly like we did on the newer save, and that's why I did that on the newer save, is because I found this to be cumbersome and I wanted to have a better way to do it. So we kind of came up with a better way to do it. And then also with the circuits, they're here in the bus, and we could, obviously move them out and do something different with them and belt them in. But I don't have motors on the bus. I only have circuits on the bus. Adding motors to the bus would have been nice here. We also put computers on the bus in the new save, so that would have been another idea that I could have done too. But otherwise, the same kind of, boutique thing where you're taking in various materials from either side of a little build here to make things like Mark 1, Mark 2, miners here, and what are these power burner 2s here. So kind of, the same type of thing. Another little boutique here making these have a nice bright color to them too. These are the chest-like sources and sinks, so they have new color. I think they're different colors too, but they have a new design. Even the chests have a really neat new design. I like that design better too, by the way, Martin. I like that a lot. And the providers have a little bit update too, and I like the neon color as well. That's kind of backlighting some of the parts of these buildings too. And then we had an arms array, kind of the similar type of thing as the other. Feeding a bunch of arms in as a bunch of modules, and then pulling them out and putting them in here. More boutiques here, and here we actually went up to the belt-like sources and sinks here. And then we did solar here. I think I have more solar in the new one than this one. I should have added more to this one, but I never actually did. We have solar on the other planets though, so that's kind of good. And more boutiques here and more building. We made some more belts down here for. We finally did the underflow at some point here, so that we could make distributors, and then we never actually used. I don't think we ever actually used a distributor. I still don't really know what they're for. Actually, I haven't really, we haven't played with them at all. And let me zoom back out. We have a whole lot of power here, a lot of solar power. You can see that's the same basic design as we put in. Although this one never got finished, as we put in the other save. We have a couple of places making research token 1. That never got. Wait, that's not a research token. That's power. This never got upgraded. Who did that? I wonder who did that. Research token 1. Down here is a research token 1. Down here is a research token 1. I think we have 3 or 4 of those all told on the map. Maybe just 2, but maybe I moved. I might have had one up here that I deleted, or maybe there's one still here. This is still one here. Oh, yes, I had one here that I was feeding into science, and then I was taking some of those research tokens to make research token 2s here, and then feeding those into to labs here, and then the rest of the overflow kind of of the research token ones were coming into more labs here. So we kind of built this ad hoc a little bit. I think I even have tokens 3 or something over here, don't I? Yeah, it's a research token 3 over here as well. So we did a lot of ad hoc, and then we said, you know what, we got to build these, maybe not as modules because you can't put labs in modules, but maybe as modular builds, kind of how you would do in like Factorio when you start outposting things. Although in this case, you don't need to outpost it because there is no need to transport the stuff around the map. You just use it where you're making it, kind of thing. And there's no resources are all infinite, rather. So there's no need to, you know, continue finding new sources, new patches and things. Which is why trains may not make sense so much on this game, because you can just find a good spot to set up something new, and you know, wherever you've got the right materials. Like here, we used electric smelters here, so we didn't even have to have coal here. We just fed the iron in and went to work, which is kind of nice too. So yeah, you could just do an outpost to make something new. Even, you know, item A that we have on the bus, we could just say, okay, we're gonna do an area to make belts, and we're not gonna do a bus. We're just gonna have a bunch of iron and some, you know, whatever else is needed for belts here. I think circuits, so we need iron and copper for those, and engines, we need iron and copper for those, and we just make all the things we need for belts all in one kind of outpost somewhere, even way over here if you wanted to, or wherever. And then and because it doesn't matter, the items are put into an influencer to be used, so you don't even have to do a bus design. The bus design is just kind of helpful for when you have a limited amount of space or items to set up a smelting column, and you want to kind of, you know, share those resources amongst a bunch of different drains on the system. Plus, everything takes power in this game, so in the early game, you're always struggling to upgrade power. Wow, Wally, you didn't even upgrade these. Oops, I don't need that one. Okay, that'll help with power production a little bit. Plus, you know, burner power is permanent all the time, whereas solar power is only a daytime thing. So we kind of kept expanding then. We had research token 2s here. This is kind of a similar build to what we ended up with in the new save. Those are going out here into labs. We had 4 of these and a lot of labs. I don't know if that's the right ratio, but I guess it didn't matter. But this is a completely self-contained module too. We actually had the research token 1 inside of the token 2 module, which I think we didn't do in the new one. But we could have still, and we made that work. And then we scaled up to the next level. We have a research token 2 that feeds 2 research token 3s. I don't remember if that's the right scale, or the same scale we did before either. And those are going into some labs, and we have a completely standalone except for chips, which I could have just made chips out here too, just like we did in the new save, and you know, had a chip manufacturer that made a line of chips, and then we wouldn't have had to do any of this shenanigans, bringing this belt all the way down there. And then we went bigger. We made research token 4, and this is why I didn't think I wanted to spend time doing this in the new save. I think this ended up taking us a handful of episodes to complete, both are all inclusive of designing this module here, and you can kind of see how complex it is. And this is taking in research token 3, so this is only the stuff you need to add in to making the 4s from the 3s. It's things like burners and solar panels. Is that what is that? I don't know what that is, because mousing over it doesn't show what the building is, it shows what the module is. It's one of the furnace burners. I just don't know if that's 2 or 3. But a bunch of solar panels, and some of those, and then obviously they needed copper in. And this was kind of a funky design to come up with. And then we had to also make the burners from nothing here, which I think if I had done this again, I probably would make this 2 or 3 separate modules and connect them all together, because I think that would have been better than trying to cram it all into one. But kind of one of my goals was making an all-in-one module thing. So we're feeding the 3s from here into the 4s here. 1 2 feeds 2 3s, feeds 4 4s. So you can kind of see there's a kind of a scale up and scale out thing going on here. And then those are being fed by a couple of smelting columns, stumpy smelting columns of stone here, a little shorter than normal, a couple of stumpy smelting columns of copper, and a couple of full smelting columns, or sorry, that was iron, a couple of full smelting columns of copper. And we did use coal in all of these here because we wanted to, I guess. I don't remember. It's kind of a weird effect, right? At certain zoom levels, you see different things that you don't see at other zoom levels as strongly. And all of that goes into just feeding 8 labs. It's such a huge build for something so tiny. And then we decided, okay, then we kept going. And at that point, we were able to build the rocket, and we were able to colonize the other, some of the other planetary bodies. We only made it out to the 2 moons that are orbiting Hope, but we got out there because Jeff over here is the first source of titanium ore that you can get a hold of, and that's on every save. Jeff is always coal rich, or coal poor and titanium rich, or titanium positive anyway, as well as having the other ores as well there. Sans uranium as well. But Jeff has other issues that you have to contend with a little bit. Less brightness, or same brightness rather, during the daytime, but the day length is only 6 minutes, and this day length is 20 minutes. So you end up with a much less power being produced over the course of the day, and so you need to have more batteries, and you need to have more solar panels for the same amount of batteries, I think, in order to, yeah, I think so, in order to produce a decent amount of power. So the calculator that I have can also, obviously punch the numbers in. You can calculate the power production, the number of buildings you need to produce X amount of power of each type of building. And so we headed over to Jeff, and we started a little factory here, and this is obviously a much smaller factory. There's no science here. All the science is being done on Hope, because I figured why? Or why not, but why? I could have done the Research Token 5 science here, though, because that takes in all the Research Token 4s and some of the titanium, or titanium-based products. I think maybe just titanium straight up. But I thought, let's send it back to Hope, and we'll do all the work on Hope. And this will just be a factory here that has the mall in it still, because we needed to be able to locally produce all the things. Because the only way to get building materials on a new planet is to either make them there or ship them there via the rocket system, the shuttle system. So we have that going down here. You can see it. This is a receiving shuttle here. No, this is a sending shuttle. This is sending out titanium bars that have been smelted. We have a couple of different sources of them coming in. I don't know why I did this shenanigans, but apparently, I see it here. There's a break here. So I'm feeding them in more or less as fast as I can, and we're filling it up to whatever the maximum fill is there, which I think is 1,000. Item capacity 1,000. Yep. And we are using some of that titanium, I think. No, actually, we're not using it at all here. Everything we're using it for is on the other planet. We could use it here for some of the stuff, but we're not. And then this is a landing pad, so the rocket will come in here, and these arms will unload different things. Most of them are set to coal, because we were shipping coal here for a while, and we guess we still maybe are. I don't remember, honestly. And so these banks of arms are here just to grab the coal out of the rocket, more or less as fast as possible. I have 3 arms grabbing for each bank, and then they're just unloading it into the chest. This one directly, and these, one of the tricks with arms is an arm can drop an item on another arm, and then that arm can put the item into, it can, even making a right turn like this, it works perfectly fine. So we were able to unload 3, but then load back onto the belt 1, and that gave me the buffer that I needed to kind of keep the rockets coming in a little bit better. Plus having, of course, these buffer boxes helped. So we have, I guess, I don't know what I was doing here, but we have 6 of them, keeping a little bit of coal on this line. What are we using this coal for? Oh, we're making something out of it. We're making rocket fuel. Right, we need you need coal to make rocket fuel. I'll show you that factory on Hope as well, but you need coal to make rocket fuel as well as some iron. So we're bringing the coal in simply to make the rocket fuel so that we can send the rockets back with titanium on them, because you cannot ship rocket fuel, because inputting rocket fuel into a rocket launch pad will just fill up the rocket's fuel and not fill up its storage. So that's kind of the thing here. And in other words, these were more or less copies of the mall stuff from Hope. And so we just did that so that we could have more building materials here as we wanted to, expand out and make this factory. Up here, I'm making something. What am I making up here? Oh, rockets. Right. The, what are they called? Cargo ships. So, you have to have a build to make those. So we copied that also from Hope, and I didn't show you that in Hope. The titanium is white in color, the stone is gray in color, and if there were coal here, it would be black in color, and then obviously orange is copper and blue is iron. The game standard colors, I should say. So let's go back actually to Hope briefly, and you can see the rockets, by the way, flying back and forth. This one has a load of titanium. This one's coming in with a load of coal. That one's also got titanium. This one's also got coal, and they just launch as often as they are scaled to launch. And I kind of tried to control that scale a little bit with the inserters and how many inserters I had of which tier level and things. There's also an outgoing ship going this way over to Wally, which we will talk to. Actually, you know what? I think that's the titanium. I might have this titanium linked to Wally right now, not to Hope. It is. Okay. We'll talk about that in a little while. And so then, if we come back over here to Hope briefly, over here on the west side, way out here to the west, because I was like, I'm going to put this out here. And then I realized, I need to actually possibly connect things with a belt out here. Although this belt's job was simply to take a whole lot of random building materials to be sent off to first Jeff and then later Wally, as we had, to kind of take what we needed, which is where all these crossings came in. I was taking things like taking the splitters here out of here onto a belt and then crossing it over here and then having like a service belt that was picking up from these things on both sides and sending them down here onto this output belt, which is all still here. And that's how I got a bunch of stuff pre-seeded on Jeff, so I didn't have to sit there and make it all like you're starting the game over again. So then I came out here because I was like, I want to have a build out here that just makes a crap ton of rocket-based stuff. So we did all this mining and all this smelting, and we ended up with a place to make rocket launch pads, a place to make rocket landing pads, and then a place to make cargo rockets cargo ships 1. I actually have 2 of them, although I think I disconnected this one from something or other. What did I do here? Yeah, I did. I turned off the circuits here because I didn't want... We were making too many, and I didn't want that many being made. So I'm making rockets here. Now, what I could have done also is I could have actually loaded the occasional... Yeah, look at all these rockets backed up here. Because those are going... Oh, that's right. I'm even using one of these throughput toggles on an arm to limit how many rockets it's able to actually pass. It only sends one rocket every 16,384 ticks, rather than one every, I guess, 256 ticks, which is its round trip time. And that's in order to limit how much coal is being sent. Even though apparently I'm not sending as much as I thought, but that was in an attempt to limit how much coal is being sent. It may not be working properly. But I also had to send them over here because they're used in Research Token 5. Let me zoom out for a second here. This build here is a exact copy of course, this build over here. I made another one because you need one of these in its entirety outputting in order to feed 2 Science 5 Research Token 5 makers. All of that for 2 of these. That's how slow these things are. They run in 4096. And those were, and then I have, them splitting and then overflow for them going into labs, just so we can boost the RT4 output a little bit more than 2. But here's the labs for the 5s. So the 5s take RT4s, titanium at 100 apiece. So this is full. There's 55,423 titanium in this, which is why it's shipping over to the other moon right now. And then a cargo ship. And that's how you make RT5s. And so we've done a lot of research. There's still a lot to go here. We've done a lot of research here, and we can make some more progress on this in the future. But what we were working on when we kind of left off with this save was nuclear power, and we're still, I think, building that up here. But you can kind of see the same kind of rocket build here. Or no, this is nuclear build. This is where we're making nuclear stuff. I'm not outputting any rockets here yet. We obviously have power scattered here. There's coal on this moon, but there is no titanium. But they did add the uranium here, and so we're working on getting ready to mine and refine the uranium to have nuclear power. So until we have that, obviously we need coal power builds set up here and there and everywhere. Some solar power as well. I brought over some of the mall bits again, and so we have kind of those things being made here. And then we are receiving, of course, that titanium, and we must be receiving coal as well, or must have received coal at some point in the past. And I'm receiving titanium for a reason that I can't remember exactly. But I was also receiving a lot of building materials for a while there on this landing pad. Now, we don't need it anymore, which is why they were just outputting. Maybe they were finishing up outputting things or something. That could be. I was feeding coal into here for some reason. That must just be because I had it and I needed to get burned through it. So I probably need to flip this around now and run that belt the normal way. These are all tier 2 builds here. So we have now a bunch of, or one shipment of titanium here, and we have more to come. But I think we needed that for nuclear power. But also, I don't want to get into nuclear power as, this late in an episode. And I also needed to make this episode a little shorter today. But you can see, by the way, there's uranium here on the map. It's green, which should surprise no one. But there's uranium here on the map. And it's all over, but it's in tiny little patches. So we're gonna have to kind of maybe mine it all as best we can, ship it all to one kind of centralized location, and do the refining there, and then send that to the nuclear reactors to make some power, or send it back to Hope or Jeff to make some power. But we're gonna take care of that in a future episode. So for now, we're gonna leave this here. I hope that going over those patch notes at the beginning and then talking about giving this base tour here was useful for some of you. Those of you who may have watched this as it was releasing way back when before the 1.0 release, probably don't remember it because it's been a few months. And those of you who have just started following this game since 1.0 may not have seen it at all. So I hope this is interesting to you to see this base, and I hope you'll come back and see how we go into nuclear power. Once we have that going, then we can really unlock any of the other stuff we want. We can ship the nuclear fuel around to the other planets, and we can see what happens. See how the game kind of ends with the unlock of everything that's not. I think there's some infinitely repeatable stuff. Maybe not. Maybe these aren't infinite. Maybe these end still at a certain level here. But either way, we can unlock some more of these infinite or these, increase level things here, and kind of go from there and finish the game over the course of the rest of this series. So thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now.